G'day, I'm Charlie Pryde.
And I'm Jennifer Pryde. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Pride of the Villages.
In this video, we continue our 24-day journey to Vietnam and Cambodia with 21 of those days with Emerald Cruises and Tours. In our last video, we highlighted our time in Ho Chi Minh City. In this video, we will spend 7 nights on board the Emerald Harmony, sailing north on the Mekong River into Cambodia. First, we will give an overview of the ship's spaces and our cabin. Then we will highlight the dining on board, and finally show you the itinerary of the cruise to include the shore excursions. Built exclusively for the Mekong River, this ship can reach central Ho Chi Minh City instead of docking outside the city and busing guests in. The Emerald Harmony has 5 decks. Starting at the top is the sun deck, with a jogging or walking track, a putting green, an outdoor games area, plenty of lounge chairs for sun worshippers and shade for those wanting to watch the scenery go by and observe the great sunrises and sunsets. One deck below is the pool deck. At the stern or rear of the ship is an infinity pool, a rarity on river cruise ships. Only a couple feet deep, it is still a great relief to the heat of the day and also has a retractable roof to provide sun or shade. The bar caters to those using the pool and also provides drinks to those on the sun deck. There is also a small seating area back in the air-conditioned spaces. The horizon deck, or deck 3. At the bow is the wheelhouse and the ship's command center. You can stand to the side of the wheelhouse for great views. Just don't block the captain's view while the ship is on its way. Mid-deck is guest services and cruise director desks are positioned in the atrium. Staff members there can answer questions about everything from what to expect in port, exchange currency, settle your onboard tab, and address any issues you might have while sailing. There is also a small koi pond by the staircase. Past the reception desk is the Horizon Bar and Lounge. This area serves as the ship's main lounge, where a cocktail hour and most port talks are hosted. It is also the meeting point for shore tours. It offers plenty of comfy couches and chairs with throw pillows, complete with tables for drinks. On the Vista deck at the bow of the ship is the Lotus Lounge, which provides an alternate lounge space for cruisers wishing to read, play games, or watch the scenery go by. This was our favorite spot to relax while the boat was cruising. The room has a small library of books, tea facilities, and light snacks, along with a TV. Towards the stern is the Reflection Restaurant and Galley area. This is where you will have all your meals. Meals are open seating, with tables ranging from 2 persons up to 12. The Riviera deck, or deck 1, has some of the most important aspects of the ship. In the gym, passengers have access to cardio machines and free weights. Towels, water, and hand sanitizer is provided. There is a hairdresser and a spa for massages, facials, and pedicures. Laundry rooms aren't common on river cruise ships, but in a region where the climate necessitates multiple wardrobe changes each day, being able to do some wash mid-cruise is a welcome luxury. Included are 3 washers and dryers, which are free to use. Use of laundry powder and iron are also complimentary. Send-out laundry and press services are available for a fee. Dry cleaning is not offered. Now an overview of our cabin. We were number 209 on the horizon deck. We had a panorama balcony, which is 273 square feet. Twin beds can be either separate or together to form a queen. Luggage can be stored under the bed. There is a seating area with couch, chair, and a table. This is not a traditional balcony, but an open-air one. Windows that are raised and lowered with the push of a button. There are 2 shades that can be lowered over the window. One a sunshade, the other a blackout one. 8 outlets in the room are dual voltage and can accommodate standard North American, United Kingdom, and European plugs. There are also USB ports. Water is delivered in reusable glass bottles to all cabins daily for drinking and brushing teeth, and all rooms come equipped with a safe, hairdryer, and mini fridge. There is a desk and vanity dresser. Here you have your Vox charging station. The flat-screen TVs have a limited number of news and sports channels, on-demand movies, and daily ship announcements. Bathrooms are fairly spacious with a glass-enclosed rainfall shower with all your bathing products available. The rooms also have bathrobes, slippers, and umbrellas for use. Moving on to the food in the Reflections restaurant. Breakfast is typically 7 to 9 a.m. Open seating served buffet style. There is an egg station and all your typical Western dishes, bread, pastries, fruit, and handcrafted juices. They will also have a local breakfast specialty. Some of them may be sweet like this waffle that went well with my omelet, but most are savory like these dumplings. It may seem strange to have a soup for breakfast, but this is what most Vietnamese start their day with. Give it a try. You can always get eggs and bacon back home. Besides the buffet, there is also the option of ordering a few items off the menu that the galley team will prepare for you. Lunchtime typically starts after the morning shore excursions return. Again, it is buffet style: soups, salads, fruit, hot items, carving or pasta station, and desserts, of course. You put together whatever you want. They also have a menu that will list what is on the buffet, but also offer a few things that the galley team can prepare. Dinner time starts at 7 p.m. but may vary to accommodate shore excursion schedules. Most evening dinners are multi-course, waiter-served affairs. The menu will feature several choices for mains and desserts. Everything we ate was well prepared and presented. The chef will also have a display area of the dishes as you walk into the restaurant. So if the menu is not self-explanatory, you can view and talk to the chef about the dishes. Passengers with dietary restrictions are well accommodated with advance notice. Just discuss with the chef. Complimentary soda, wine, and beer are offered during lunch and dinner, and tea, coffee, and bottled water are always included. A light meal and snack option is the River Cafe located at the back of the Horizon Lounge, but hours are limited. There are also some bar snacks and big jars available in the lounge. The self-service coffee and tea service in the lounge was a big hit with the passengers and was the first stop of my day. This was open 24/7, and the machine made some really good lattes and cappuccinos. There's also a cookie jar on the counter. Now we move on to the cruise itinerary and shore excursions. Finishing up our morning tours in Ho Chi Minh City, we are now on board the Harmony, and the first order of business is a welcome drink of sparkling wine and the sail away. Early evening, we received a talk from the chef and the cruise director, Timmy, who went over the safety protocols and a port talk for next day's activities. Waking up in the morning, I started with a cup of coffee and a sunrise view. Jennifer was on the pool deck doing an exercise class. The Harmony does not sail at night. Coming off anchor this morning, we're going through the Chau Go Canal. This 29-kilometer-long canal connects the Mekong Delta to the Ho Chi Minh City. Built by the French in 1877, it was recently dredged and widened by the Vietnamese government. As you can see, this is a major waterway for commercial products coming into the city, as approximately 1,400 ships traverse the canal daily. The Harmony is the largest ship that utilizes the canal. If you're wondering what the dots are on the front of Vietnamese ships, those are painted on eyes to protect the boat and crew from sea monsters, evil spirits, and to navigate around hazards. One hazard for the Harmony on the canal is low-hanging bridges and power lines. Therefore, passengers are prohibited from being on the sun deck during this time. I did all this filming from outside the Lotus Lounge, or on the side of the wheelhouse. By noontime, the Harmony has transited the canal and is now into the Mekong River, and you can see how wide it is at this point. The Harmony then makes a fuel stop, which just happens to be where the other Mekong cruise ships are tied up for the end of the season. The cruise ship season on the Mekong generally goes from September to May. The Harmony has one more sailing after our cruise, but the Viking ship is already in dock, covered in this netting to protect it from bugs and other elements. After fueling, the Harmony sails to a nearby community called Tan Chau. We were given a map the night before in order to track our progress on the river. Most of our ship-to-shore excursions are by contracted sampans, which can seat about 30 passengers. Wearing of life jackets is mandatory when on these boats. Arriving on shore, we visit a fruit farm where we sample a variety of the local produce. If you've never tried durian, this is your chance. Just try to get by the smell, and you may find it tastes pretty good.
Just close your nose if you cannot smell it. And taste it very well. And taste it is unlike anything you tasted before.
Durian. Oh, it smells so good. Nice. We then get on golf carts and drive through the farming community to another farm that specializes in growing oyster mushrooms. We are given a tour of the farm and the growing process, and then sit down to snack on some tempura mushrooms. Along with the mushrooms, we are served honey tea. The honey is from beehives on the farm, and we buy a jar of the honey to take home with us. They also make a pretty good alcoholic shot from the honey. Can't refuse that.
We say more I buy yo. Awesome up as well. When I go back to my hometown, I do 10 times like this, and they go to.
We are then back on the sampans for our return to the ship. Commonly floating in the river is water hyacinth, an invasive aquatic plant that can be made into weaved products. Back on board, we attend the 6:45 port talk. This is followed by dinner, and then at 9 o'clock in the evening, there is a trivia contest. The next morning, we visit the town of Sadek. Cruising into town on the sampan, we pass the fruit and vegetable market. We will visit that later. Arriving on shore, we see that Sadek has a love story. This is based on Marguerite Duras' semi-autographical book and movie, The Lover. The Lover recounts the story of a young French girl from Sadek. Living in abject poverty with her widowed mother and 2 brothers, she meets a wealthy older Chinese man on the ferry to Saigon, and a strange love affair begins. This house was owned by the Chinese man, Huyen Luthu Li. The differences between them could not be greater in culture, wealth, and age. He was 27, she was 15. And oh, it was fiery. Their romance was doomed to fail. Huyen Thu Li's aristocratic family refused to let him run off with some peasant French girl and insisted on his marriage to a more appropriate Vietnamese wife. As we sit down to some green tea, a local guide gives us the background on the love story and previous occupants of the house. The walls are adorned not only with Mr. Lee's Vietnamese family, but also the actors from the movie. The house is celebrated for its unique blend of French, Chinese, and Vietnamese architectural features, such as intricately carved woodwork and pagoda-style roofs. Interestingly, you can stay in the house as it functions as an Airbnb. Leaving the house, we walk down the street to the open-air market. This is one of the largest markets on the Mekong River. The place was bustling when we visited, with lots of motorbikes, many loaded up with wholesale purchases of fruit and vegetables, driving through the market. The fruit and vegetables looked very fresh, with quite a few things we hadn't seen before. We have never seen pineapples and bananas so small, or guavas so big. The wet market was a new experience for some in our group. Being a fisherman, I was familiar with the processing of fish, so the smells and visuals were nothing unusual. We were pleased to find out that the baby turtles were destined for temples or private ponds and not crunchy snacks. Due to the lack of refrigeration, locals purchased their food daily, some of it still alive up until it's purchased. In the fresh meat section, you will see stalls processing everything from live frogs to freshly skinned rice field rats. When visiting the market, be mindful and understand the circumstances and culture, which is very different from most Westerners. On one side of the market, there is a row of stalls totally dedicated to items associated with altars, honoring deities and ancestors. When visiting the market, we recommend closed-toed shoes, just a protection against the motorbike tires. And if you would like to purchase something, ensure you have cash. Walking out of the town, we once again board the sampan back to the ship. The theme for today's onboard cuisine is Taste of Asia. Lunch served buffet style has dishes from Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, Indonesia, amongst other Asian nations. All of it was very tasty. And over lunch, we sailed to Mai An Hung Island. On the island, we start with an introduction to traditional folk singing.
They are wearing the outfits like this every month.
We are treated to some homemade snacks and tea.
And the next one we call the Vietnamese bread. Everyone, yeah, it's a small sweet cake. We eat like a dessert, but actually we can make it like a savory dish.
We then go on a walking tour of the village and are introduced to 3 bridges that cross the canal. First is the single bamboo monkey bridge, great for photos, but for safety reasons we were only allowed to go so far. Walking down the bank, we see some traditional family plots, and we stop to observe this lady making pottery the traditional way. We then walk over the Buffalo Bridge, much wider and sturdier than the Monkey Bridge. I don't know if I would want to test load it with a water buffalo, but it does get us to the other side. Walking down the far bank, we meet local residents along the way, old and young. Everyone is friendly. The island is full of different vegetable gardens and fruit trees. We then enter a coconut farm with towering palms. First, we are treated to coconut water, which was very refreshing. We then take our coconuts to this lady, who wields a wicked knife in opening them up for us to sample the pulp inside. On our way back to the dock, we cross the concrete elephant bridge and see once again the monkey bridge. Lucky for these guys that the elephant bridge exists. Back on board, we continue the Taste of Asia theme in the Horizon Lounge, as the crew serves appetizers and drinks in the traditional clothing of their country.
Strawberry candy.
Oh, okay. So are you already couple?
The crew gathered together. Cruise director Timmy explains the significance of the dress to include some wedding attire.
And aria originally means a long shirt. Now, if you put the tonation...
After dinner, there's a Mekong River travel movie with English comedian and actress Sue Perkins. That evening, returning to our cabin, we find 2 krama scarves on our bed. These are for a demonstration that will occur tomorrow afternoon. In the morning, Jen participates in a yoga class on the sun deck. This morning's shore excursion is to Jing Island, also known as Mango Island. Arriving once again by sampan, our transportation around the island is by motorcycle rickshaw. Our first stop is to an incense factory. Incense is made by grinding aromatic plant materials, woods, resins, and spices into a fine powder, mixing them with a natural binder and water to form a dough, and shaping the dough into sticks. Then allowing them to cure and dry. Piled high, there were thousands of these sticks ready to be packaged and shipped to customers throughout Vietnam. We leave the factory for a ride into the farming area. Where we pass crates of freshly picked mangoes, stopping at this farmer's house for a visit. This stop is all about mangoes, as we set down the pre-cut mangoes and then the opportunity to cut them ourselves. This turned into an all-you-can-eat mango fest. Back on the streets, we have scooters dashing in and out around us. Final stop is this man's shop, where he builds boats the old school way.
Over here and over there it's like this, and the driver will be standing here.
Back on board, we have free time for an afternoon of leisure. Time for me to enjoy the infinity pool, and Jen attends a demonstration on 100 ways to wear the traditional Cambodian scarf. Early evening before dinner, we have a lion dance performance by a local boys group up on the sun deck. Perfect weather conditions. cap off the evening, there's a cocktail making demonstration. The next morning, we are close to the Cambodian border, and this will be our last shore excursions in Vietnam. First, we visit the town of Tan Chau. Arriving on shore, we are greeted by 30 of these cyclos, or what the locals call Zaloi.
Box like this, everyone, and then we stop, we stand like this, everyone, and we put your one leg in here, right in the middle first, and then moving your boot, right at the same time, like this, and put 2 legs in the middle.
Jennifer hops on right away, and we are going to a special temple in town. The Cao Dai religion was officially established in Tay Ninh, Vietnam in 1926. It uniquely blends ethical teachings from Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, and Christianity, with the ultimate goal of promoting world peace, ending religious strife, and reuniting the soul with God. Adherents engage in practices such as prayer, veneration of ancestors, nonviolence, and vegetarianism. Their previous criticism of the communist forces resulted in the banning of Cao Dai in 1975. That in 1997, Cao Dai was granted legal recognition and unrestricted practice once again in Vietnam. It is estimated that 4.5 million Vietnamese practice this religion today. Leaving the temple, we cross the street and walk down the waterfront to our sampan, where a vehicle and passenger ferry is ready to cross the river. On board, our sampan enters the canals of Evergreen Island. Evergreen Island, locally known as Vinh Ho, is a small rural community of about 300 residents. The island offers a deep, authentic, unspoiled glimpse into the traditional village life on the Mekong River. You can observe local farmers working the fields and fishermen catching carp and catfish. The sampan approaches a very basic bamboo-constructed landing. We disembark and follow our guide Tommy down a dirt path at the edge of a cornfield. Everything is green and growing like crazy. A few people were working in the fields as we passed. Tropical fruit is plentiful as everyone has them in their yard. All the houses are on stilts as the Mekong River's waters will rise at certain times of the year. An older gentleman invites us into his house, and like other Vietnamese homes, there are plenty of family pictures and an altar honoring lost relatives. Soon we leave the fruit trees behind, and back on the river the fishermen are hard at work. Arriving back on the Harmony, we have the standard 3-step welcome: hand sanitizer, a cold towel, and a cold welcome drink. Always appreciated. In the afternoon, passengers are offered the opportunity to tour the bridge and the galley, where the chef explains the kitchen operations.
Make sure your breakfast be on time. After it is all ready, I need to be double check.
That evening after dinner, there was a disco pool party. No video to show as we did not attend, but we understand it was fun. In the morning, we crossed the border into the waters of Cambodia. This requires an in-person passport verification check with Cambodian immigration officers in the Horizon Lounge. Once completed, we sail out of the Mekong River into the Ton Sap River and dock in Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia. To understand this morning's shore activities, I need to provide some background on Cambodia's darkest 4-year period under the Khmer Rouge regime. Khmer Rouge is a name that was popularly given to members of the Communist Party of Kampuchea which ruled Cambodia between 1975 and 1979. The name was coined by King Sihanouk to describe the country's communist dissidents with whom he allied after the 1970 Cambodian coup d'etat. Once in power, the Khmer Rouge, led by Pol Pot, was highly autocratic, totalitarian, and repressive. Many Cambodian deaths resulted from the regime's social engineering policies around collectivization for agricultural reform. The Khmer Rouge regime murdered hundreds of thousands of their perceived political opponents, and their racist emphasis on national purity resulted in the genocide of Cambodian minorities. Its cadres summarily tortured and executed perceived subversive elements. Ultimately, the Cambodian genocide, which took place under the Khmer Rouge regime, led to the deaths of 1.5 to 2 million people, around 25% of Cambodia's population at the time. This morning, we visited a killing field and a notorious prison that was operated by the Khmer Rouge. The Chong Ek Genocidal Center, south of Phnom Penh, is Cambodia's most prominent memorial site for the victims of the Khmer Rouge regime. Today, Chong Ek is visited by school groups and international tourists alike, as it serves as a somber place of remembrance, education, and healing. Before victims were brought to the killing field at Chong Ek, they likely spent time at this security prison known as S-21. Tol slang means hill of the poisonous trees, and Pol Pot turned the once popular high school into the high security prison. In 1975, the buildings were enclosed in electrified barbed wire, the classrooms converted into tiny prison and torture chambers, and all windows were covered with iron bars and barbed wire to prevent escape and suicides. Upon arrival at the prison, prisoners were photographed and required to give detailed autobiographies, beginning with their childhood and ending with their arrests. Interestingly, guards both male and female were also photographed. Note, all are dressed the same, and females are required to have all the same hairstyle. An estimated 20,000 people were imprisoned at S-21. It was one of an estimated 150 torture centers established by the Khmer Rouge and their secret police. Out of an estimated 20,000 people imprisoned at S-21, there were only 12 known survivors, 7 adults and 5 children. By September of 2011, only 3 adult survivors were still alive to see the former prison chief convicted of crimes against humanity and receive a lifetime prison sentence. One of the survivors, Mr. Chom May, wrote a book of his ordeal and was at the museum during our visit. So a very somber morning for the tour group, but important site visits to understand the plight of the Cambodian people as we move forward on our journey through the country. Back on a Harmony for lunch, we are treated to a buffet of Cambodian market fare. So think of foods you would see at street food stalls in Phnom Penh, plus a selection of local fruit. During the famine of the Khmer Rouge regime, many Cambodians survived eating insects, arachnids, and other crawling things they could find. Today they are enjoyed as a flavorful, everyday snack. and an important source of protein. Offerings on this lunch menu include grasshoppers, grubs, frogs, and these.
Charlie eating a tarantula.
Tarantulas aren't just for breakfast anymore. Tastes like chicken. Having a free afternoon, we decided to explore some of Phnom Penh on our own. We used the Grab rideshare app to book a tuk-tuk to Wat Nam. Sitting atop an 88-foot tree-covered hill, Wat Nam is the highest religious structure in the city. Wat Nam is a historic Buddhist temple and the most famous landmark in Phnom Penh, standing at the spiritual heart and namesake of the capital city. Translated literally means mountain pagoda or hill temple. It remains an active house of worship where locals gather to pray for good luck, success, and blessings. Entrance is free for Cambodian citizens and costs $1 for foreign tourists. Wat Nam is open daily, and there's a dress code of modest attire that covers both shoulders and knees out of respect for the active religious site. Doing the loop around the base of the complex, you will come across a giant lawn clock, a gift from China that arrived in the year 2000. Continuing to the back of the hill, we notice a disturbance in the trees, a large colony of bats. The bats are Lao's flying foxes, which are massive fruit bats with wingspans reaching up to 1.5 meters. Known for their fox-like faces, these bats spend their days hanging upside down in the trees around the temple. The famous colony has historically been one of the few examples in Asia of a huge flying fox population right in the heart of a capital city. Leaving our bat friends behind, we grab another tuk-tuk to go to the central market. The market building, completed in 1937, has a 26-meter-high central dome with 4 tall arch-roofed arms branching out diagonally across the block, creating vast hallways housing countless stalls and a variety of goods. Under the dome are jewelry counters, and the 4 arms containing clothing, handbags, food products, and there's even an area for hairdressers and spa vendors. In the evening, we have abbreviated dinner by buffet, as we have an included night tour of the city to see all the lights and activities celebrating the king's birthday. We are conducting the tour by what is known as remorque, which is a carriage pulled by a motorbike. Loaded up, here we go. Back at the cruise dock, we say goodnight to our remorque driver Entering the ship's cabin, we find 2 small elephants gifted by the staff. The next day is our final full day on the cruise, and while some of the locals are hard at work, our day starts with a morning shore excursion to Odong to see the Golden Temple. Udong is the former royal capital of Cambodia, located about 40 kilometers north of Phnom Penh. It is famous for its towering stupas, panoramic views, and historical significance as the former royal burial site. At the base of the hill is this golden temple protected by lions and 5-headed nagas. In Buddhism, nagas are semi-divine, serpent-like beings that possess both human and snake qualities. This temple was completely built to dedicate to Buddha. Thus, we find a variety of paintings covering entirely internal spaces depicting the history of Buddhism in Cambodia. While we're in the temple, we receive a blessing from the monks, who gently toss handfuls of petals over the tour group. The scattering of petals signifies the transfer of a blessing, good luck, and the purification of the recipients. After the blessing, we tour the village where the monks reside. In this complex, there are male monks and female nuns. We see their elementary housing. Some of them have pets. When hair stubble gets a certain length, then the hair stubble must be shaved to include the nuns. Young men and boys frequently enter monkhood to pursue education and religious studies. That is why you see some very young-looking boys in this line as they prepare for a meal. As we depart the complex, we pass a golden statue of Buddha, protected by the King of Nagas. Back in Phnom Penh, and after lunch, we tour the Royal Palace, which is located just off the riverfront. The Royal Palace of Cambodia is a complex of buildings which serves as the official royal residence of the King of Cambodia. The Cambodian monarchs have occupied it since it was built in the 1860s, with a period of absence when the country came into turmoil during and after the reign of the Khmer Rouge. The complex is divided by walls into 4 main compounds, with some areas private and off-limits. The significant buildings in the complex are the Throne Hall, where the king's confidants, generals, and royal officials once carried out their duties. It is still in use today as a place for religious or royal ceremonies. The Moonlight Pavilion is an open-air pavilion that serves as a stage for Khmer classical dance in the past and the present. It is one of the most notable buildings of the palace, as it is easily seen from the outside, as it was built alongside a section of the palace walls. The Silver Pagoda is a compound located on the south side of the palace complex. Its main building houses many national treasures, such as gold and jeweled Buddha statues. The pagoda is inlaid with more than 5,000 silver tiles, and some of its outer facade is Italian marble. Back on the ship, we receive our final port talk, which is about group debarkation from the ship. We then say our thank yous and farewells to the crew, who are introduced individually.
He came dining and helped to our dining team, Bong Rotha from Cambodia.
After the talk, we are treated to a cultural dance performance by the Cambodian Student and Children's Organization. After dinner, we receive our last gift from the staff, good luck bracelets, which are handmade at the same organization that performed the dancing. In the morning, we have our last sunrise on the Mekong River, and the ship debarkation is where we end this video, and we'll pick up the next. Lastly, I will give you 3 more tips for travel in Vietnam and Cambodia. First is Uber and Lyft do not operate in Vietnam and Cambodia. Instead, you have Grab, and it functions basically the same way as the U.S. ride-share services with cell phone connectivity. Through the app tied to a payment method, you can order a ride or food delivery. We used it 10 times in Cambodia to get to locations in Phnom Penh and Siem Reap. Transportation can be by car or motorbike in Vietnam, and primarily by tuk-tuk in Cambodia. Via our phone, we picked our mode of transportation, destination, and price. Once the driver confirms, we had his picture, license plate number, pickup location, and price. Upon pickup, we were able to track our journey to the location. After the ride, you can rate and tip the driver through the app. The app functions in English, so no haggling of pricing, no translation misunderstandings, and no scams. A very safe and convenient way to travel around, and most of our trips were $1 or less. Second, Cambodia has its own currency, the rial. The exchange rate was $1 equals 4,000 Cambodian reals. However, unlike Vietnam, the US dollar functions as a secondary currency in Cambodia and is widely accepted throughout the country. In fact, merchants in tourist locations like Phnom Penh and Siem Reap will list their prices in dollars. They do not, however, conduct transactions in coins. So if paying in dollars, you will likely get rial in return for any change, which is less than $1. Lastly, in Vietnam and Cambodia, there is a dress code when visiting certain sites, such as those of remembrance and worship. The basic rule is you must have your knees and shoulders covered. You may also be asked to remove your shoes when entering temples. We took the guessing out of it and wore long pants and sleeve shirts when we visited these sites. In our next video, we depart the ship and journey to the Cambodian city of Siem Reap, where we spent 3 days visiting the ancient temple sites of Angkor Wat, Angkor Thom, and Tay Pram, where the Tomb Raider was filmed. On our own, we visit a center that trains rats to locate landmines, and we tuk-tuk out of the town to a craft village where everything from spices, coffee, soap, and incense is handmade. So until that video, we wish you a great day wherever you are.